Oh, if you could have heard the conversation we were just having. Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connarton, and of course, here is the Honorable Gary S. Hopper.
Matt, right?
It is
Matt.
Matt,
How you doing,
yes.
buddy?
I'm doing well.
We got Little Mel on hanging out with us tonight.
Little Mel over there?
Dave's Dragon's supposed to be here tonight, and I don't know where they are, so Dave from Dragons. Dave Dragons is over on Pinardville.
Okay.
And they were, when my mom was alive, she decided to get some Firebelly red toad things, theoretically, for my grandson.
Yeah.
At which point she took care of them for the rest of their life because the kids never really paid that much attention to little fellers.
Huh.
And but anyway, Dave's Dragons was always really good at giving her the right information. If you went to one of the big box stores where they sell stuff, like for instance, she had to feed them crickets. Mm-hmm. If you go to the big box stores, the crickets would die, or they're too small, or they're it was never as they were never as well informed to know how to help my mom with these two toads.
Yeah.
As the box stores were. They were just very, very good. So I was going to have them on to talk, and they were supposed to bring reptiles in, but whatever.
I hope the reptiles didn't turn on them.
That could be it.
Right.
Yeah. You could, if you had like a reptilian revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That could happen.
Maybe it did happen.
It may be happening right now. Reptiles everywhere might be turning on humans.
There could be. So we're probably safer. We probably should stay here for tonight. We could have like a sleepover.
I didn't bring any pajamas.
I didn't bring. You bring jammies?
No.
Oh well. We can make our own jammies out of the carpet.
Or the curtains.
Or
the curtain. Yeah, that'd probably be easier, actually. Yeah.
Probably not as warm as the carpet, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, on this show, we try to ask the questions nobody else is asking. Right?
Yes, we do.
What's so freaking fun? Anyway.
I thought you were going to say something else. I thought you were starting to say we ask the questions nobody else cares about or something.
No.
But you surprised me. Okay.
Yeah, no, we ask questions like, Mel.
Yes.
So you're feeling a little sleepy, right? You're going through your day, you're feeling a little tired, you're feeling a little sleepy. Does it ever occur to you when you're in that state where you're just kind of groggy and you want to take a nap to go into a restroom?
Can't say it does.
Right, so why do they call it a restroom? Who the heck goes in there to take a nap? It doesn't smell very pleasant there. Right? The seat's not really that comfortable for chilling out. No, it's not like a lounge chair. I mean, you should, if you're going to call it a restroom, they should recline.
I did see a restroom with a recliner once.
But did the toilet itself recline?
No.
No, see?
Well, I think if the toilet itself reclined, I don't know.
That'd be awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you hit the button or you recline while you're trying to do something.
Right,
it's like,
right.
Whoa!
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the janitor that has to work there.
Definitely not.
No.
But anyway, so that was one of the questions I had. The other question I had, Mel, because you're a girl, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Nice you backed that up. So... So anyway... I was at the ice cream place in Ware today. There's a little ice cream place on 114.
Yeah.
And I got myself a frap because I'm worth it.
Yeah.
Really.
You should treat yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you pay at one window, and then they have another window. It's a pickup window. Now, I'm a married guy, but doesn't a pickup window mean that's where you hit on the ladies? Right? So if you were working at a pickup window, you would expect guys to hit on you all day long.
It's true.
Am I right?
Yeah. And actually, if you're in Vegas, you can pick a girl up and marry her right there at the window too.
Yeah.
Well, those are drive-through. They have drive-through weddings, I think, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think there's places that have two windows as a pickup window, and then you pull up to the drive-through wedding window.
Very convenient.
The wedding window.
So you can pick up a wife that you haven't met before and marry her in the same lane?
Yeah, I think so. It's like an arranged marriage, just without any arrangement. It's just, you know.
Is it expensive?
I doubt it.
Probably depends on what model you get.
Probably depends on if you want fries with it or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
The Elvis wedding might be a little more expensive.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because then you have to marry a girl that looks like Priscilla Presley.
Yeah.
Right? And those can't be cheap.
No. Well, now.
Well, now,
Now,
probably.
yeah.
That's probably not that bad.
Yeah.
You're shallow.
I know.
You're a very shallow human being.
I am, yes.
It makes me sad sometimes, Matt. What the heck do we... Here, let's go over...
You have your
While we're stalling, waiting for our guests.
What do you call this? The pink sheet?
The pink sheet. Okay,
pink
so
sheet.
Anyway, this is the House Republican Alliance pink sheet.
You see Reagan there in the corner?
Yes, Reagan. It's funny. I was alive back when he was running for president. They were calling him Reagan, and as soon as he was getting elected, you know, all the crap propaganda they have right before elections. And they were basically saying that as soon as he got to be president, he was going to press the button and start World War III, and that was the, you know, you hear some of the garbage that goes on before elections now, and you think that it's new or exciting, but it's always been that way.
Yeah.
They always just trash people with propaganda.
Yeah.
He was president when I was born. Reagan.
Really?
Yep. I don't remember him.
You don't?
But no.
You didn't?
No. Clinton's the president I remember most vividly from
Vividly?
when I was younger.
What
Yeah.
do you mean by vividly?
Like I don't remember. Like I know. Like
Because vividly is kind of intense.
She wasn't an intern, if that's what you're asking.
No, I would never insinuate that. Unless she was working at like a pickup window in Arkansas or
I
something.
remember learning about.
Were you
him
working at a
in
pickup
school.
window in Arkansas and Bill Clinton came and...
Not in this life. No.
So it wouldn't be that vivid if it was not this life, though.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's true. Good point.
There was one of those women, I forget her name. Was it Paula Jones? There was one of those women who looked like he picked her up at a pickup window.
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
There you go.
Oh, we're being yelled at. We did bad things.
My bad.
So anyway, I went there today, and the legislature has this wonderful habit. If you only have a few bills to deal with, and it looks like you can get out by 11 or 12 o'clock and have lunch, there's no way somebody's going to let that happen. There's no way that they're not going to talk about stuff that nobody cares about for at least 20, 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't get out till 3. It was ridiculous. And this is all the stuff we had. I can't even read it. I don't even remember any bill that was so significant I even paid much attention to. I mean, I shouldn't say quite like that. There was,
You drink a lot of coffee while you're there?
I go downstairs and drink coffee and try to stay awake. I don't sit in my chair hardly at all.
Really?
No, because I'll pass out.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody else is like that. I don't know if it's narcolepsy or epilepsy or whatever those lepsies are. I got one of those lepsies, I think, because I sit back in my chair, and then you get listen to a politician speak for just 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's narcolepsy.
Yep.
No, it's probably it's not narcolepsy. I don't fall asleep. I have to be sitting.
Oh.
So I usually pace. Let's see. What did we do? What did they do? We have SCR. What is SCR? Concurrent Senate concurrent resolution or something like that. Resolutions are something that we waste our time with a lot in the State House. The resolutions are things like the House of Representatives and the Senate. This is Senate concurrent resolution, so I think it'd have to be also agreed with by the House. That I think in this case it's concurrent resolution special use permits of White Mountain National Forest. I don't even know what that means. But anyway, so they had this resolution about the White Mountains. And somebody tried to amend it on the House floor to include how we take care of veterans and something else. And it was non-germane. It wasn't relevant, and it just brought it just turned into a cluster bad thing.
Yeah, cluster mess.
Mess.
Yeah.
Cluster mess. You know, and that went down in flames because of that. That was stupid.
Well, that's how they do it in Washington every day.
Yeah, but
of random stuff.
We usually are not that bad. It's not usually quite that ridiculous.
Yeah.
Vital records. We had okay. Here's a good bill. This is a good example of what goes on in committee. We have Senate Bill 96. I dealt with that yesterday in committee. Senate Bill 96 is a bill to. Do I have to remember what I actually vote on?
I don't know if you have to remember it necessarily. I mean, you how many votes do you have in the course of a term? I mean, that's a lot to remember, right?
Well, the number of votes that I vote on, or the number of the ones that I actually paid attention to?
Well, either. What's the ratio?
Oh, it's not good.
Really?
It's
okay.
really not very good. So, anyways, in committee we had a Senate Bill 96. This is the situation. You know what a road grader is? One of those big graders that clear up like a dirt road and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the road grader goes through this town. I've forgotten which town, and this guy claims that his property was damaged when the grader went by. And so the town sent somebody down, and they measured, because the right-of-way is from the center of the road X number of feet out. And they measured it, and they said, no, we didn't damage it. That's the right-of-way. You're out of luck. So then he sued the town. He didn't win. So he sued the town and the subcontractor that owned the grader. And he didn't win that, and then he sued again, and he keeps doing this. Okay, and the judge has ruled that they were frivolous lawsuits and awarded damages to this company.
Yeah.
The company ended up going out of the grader business because it was being attacked so often that it was not worth it anymore.
Oh, wow, no kidding.
And it was only by that one guy.
Wow.
I mean, graders go by my house all the time. I don't go out there and look, look, he's got it took, a couple of my, displaced one of the rocks on my stone wall or something.
Right.
Anyway, so he keeps suing, and the people that keep being sued, the town gets sued, but the town doesn't care because they have lawyers, and the lawyers get paid to do that, and it costs the taxpayer a lot of money, but it's not their money, so they don't care.
Right.
I mean, it's probably an annoyance, but for a private citizen, it's huge. Okay, because every time you have to show up at court. It's not like you can send the report from the last 10 times you've been this guy's tried to attack you and say, this is what they decided last time. Please let me stay home. Okay, I just want to stay on my jammies today. I don't want to go to court. You can't do that. You have to respond. You have to be there. Logically, you would have a lawyer. Any way you get around it, it's still going to cost you time, effort, and everything to defend yourself. So this guy keeps doing this. So last term we tried to do this, and this term again we tried a bill to called vexatious litigants, which is a really cool word. Because you were looking rather vexatious today, I think. Wouldn't you say?
Vexatious, yes.
Yes, right?
Yes.
Yes. So...
Vexatious.
You like that one, don't you?
Yeah, that was good.
Anyway, so a vexatious litigant under this new chapter, if it goes through, or this new law, would be somebody who's... it's been concluded by a judge that they have had 3 lawsuits that were frivolous. So if you sue somebody, and it doesn't have to be the same person, but if you're a person that has filed 3 lawsuits and they're proved to be, by a judge, decided to be frivolous, you would then be considered by the next judge, or could be considered a vexatious litigant, and be required to provide a lawyer or a bond or something, so that if you do sue somebody and they sue you for, harassing them, there would be some money there that they could actually get. Okay? Mm-hmm. Really good idea, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Is that a good idea?
I think so.
Okay, so I wrote the minority report against it. Now I'm going to show you why. This is the devil's in the detail stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll let you read this because you actually know how to read. Something I try to avoid. Okay, read Article. This is the Article 14 of the New Hampshire Constitution.
Okay. Article 14, legal remedies to be free, complete, and prompt. Every subject of the state is entitled to a certain remedy by having recourse to the laws for all injuries he may receive in his person, property, or character, to obtain right and justice freely, without being obliged to purchase it, completely and without any denial, promptly and without delay, comfortably to the laws.
Comfortably?
I'm sorry, conformably. Yeah, I was thrown by that too.
Go back to the lounge chair again, or the
conformably.
recliner.
But I think comfort should be a part of that too.
Comfortably. They should be comfortable when they're suing.
I would like to propose an amendment and put comfortably in there.
Yes, exactly. That's a good idea, Matt.
All right, so what does that mean?
Okay, what does that mean?
It sounds nice.
It does sound very nice. Comfortable. Sounds pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I made it sound even nicer, didn't I?
I think you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you said is much nice. Sounds more pleasant than...
Matt always makes everything better.
Yes, he does.
I do.
Everything's better with Matt.
It's true.
That's what they say, right?
Yep.
I don't know who they are, but they should say that.
They should say that. If somebody's not saying that, they should.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So anyway, what that means is that you have a right to petition or to sue anybody. Mm-hmm. And you should not, A, be denied, and it should be free. You shouldn't, it's like the Second Amendment. That's your constitutional right to be able to defend yourself. You have a constitutional right to be in that courtroom to try to seek remedy for something, an injustice that you believe you have.
Yeah.
Or somebody's done something to you.
Yeah.
Like one time you hurt my feelings, like that.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I know.
I'm still in therapy for that.
I know.
So anyway,
it stings.
Yeah. If it wasn't the truth, I think it probably wouldn't have been as bad.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Someone had to say it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in effect, if this bill went through as is, a judge could arbitrarily decide, because this person's had 3 lawsuits that have been determined to be frivolous, a judge could arbitrarily say, Mel, you can't sue anybody anymore. So you would be denying them their 14th Amendment rights.
Yeah. Huh.
And so now let's take this to the extreme, and you got a judge that has a problem with a person in their jurisdiction. Okay? Mm-hmm. And he just decides that their lawsuits are frivolous. After 3 of them, you can say, no, I don't want you to see in my court again until you have a lawyer. All right? So now that judge is in the position of taking away somebody's constitutional rights. If you want to take somebody's constitutional rights, what's the proper means by which to do that? And we do it all the time.
To take away put them in prison.
That takes away a lot of your constitutional rights, I would think.
Yeah.
Like including your right to bear arms. A lot of times in prison they don't allow guns.
Right. You can only bear a shiv.
A shiv.
Yeah.
A shiv is okay.
Stick 'em.
Right.
Not that I would know. I've never been in prison.
Yeah, I was going to say, you look like you know what you're doing there.
But I just know how to use a shiv.
Right. Yeah, a lot of you probably took shiv lessons when you were in correction.
Chivalry isn't dead.
Chivalry is not dead.
See that?
Yeah,
good. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I voted against it. Even though on the surface of it, the bill sounds perfectly logical. Mm-hmm. I'm not logical enough to get that. So I voted against it yesterday and wrote the minority report on why the minority is voting against it.
Okay. Now, did it pass?
I don't know. That'll go before the House either.
Oh, okay.
Because usually it goes to committee and then it'll go back to the full House in about a week or so.
Yeah.
Well, probably 2 weeks, I think. I don't think they're planning on getting anything for next week.
Huh.
So in 2 weeks, then I'll get up on the House floor and see if we can defeat it, because it's not a good idea. It is okay, if it would be perfectly legit if you had legislation that when a person has been found to have 3 frivolous lawsuits, that they can be brought up on charges with a crime, because it should be a crime. I mean, if you're just suing people for the sake of suing them,
Right.
it's equivalent to any other kind of harassment.
Right. Oh,
Right?
absolutely. Yeah.
If not worse, because now you're using the court system to attack somebody.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, to me, that's a crime, and you should be put on trial for it and deliberated, so you could have a jury of your peers if you wanted, and then convicted, and then implement the thing where, okay, you cannot show up in court again until you have a lawyer or somebody else. But you're not showing up in court again. You've already obviously abused your rights, and we are no longer going to recognize you as a participant in this court system without a lawyer or a bond.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you get the same effect
Right.
in the means to an end, which is legitimate, but it's still constitutional. Because the Constitution is the law.
Right. Right.
Okay? You know, the laws they have and stuff like that really aren't the law of the land. This is the law of the land. Those are RSAs. Everything has to be subservient to this. Because it's like the standard, I've already said stuff like that before. People are going to turn this off just because I'm boring.
Really?
I was just thinking of turning myself off.
They're going to sue you for being
They're
boring.
going to sue me.
Nah, nobody's turning this off. Not with that green
No.
tie.
Oh, no.
I think the tie.
Tie's pretty good, huh?
No, it is.
I
It's a
like-
good
I
The
tie.
other
like
thing
it,
I
yeah.
want to know, I got to get some ladies calling in because I want to know if I need to get a haircut. A guy was going to pay me $2 towards my haircut. He said I needs a haircut.
Well, you have that issue. If when it gets too long, you start looking like. Didn't someone tell you look like Ted Kennedy?
Ted Kennedy, right? So I don't know. I don't know if I need a haircut. I kind of having fun with it, but
Yeah. I think it looks good, but you do have the Ted Kennedy thing kind of going on
right,
there.
yeah, and it's getting long and back where it's starting to curl up, and
Right. Right.
pretty soon I'll have to put it in like a ponytail. What do you think, Mel?
Maybe that'll be a new look for you. Ponytail, I think girls like the shaggy, tousled hair look. So they can like run their fingers through it and stuff.
That's in right now.
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My wife doesn't seem to care.
Oh, see.
Maybe because I get to go to those pickup windows too often. She's getting pissed.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Oh, what'd you do today? Oh, I went to the pickup window, hon. Then get lucky again. Oh, so anyway, we got to. I don't think we talked about it on the show. Did you talk to Ross Terrio on your show about this?
No.
We were going to, but I screwed up. A few weeks ago, we had Ross Terrio on, and he had told me about this. But I was like 2 or 3 things he wanted to talk about because he's running for state rep again,
Yeah.
and school board. And I remember that, and I totally forgot about the third thing, and he didn't bring it up because he thought maybe I was avoiding it,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is ridiculous because I wouldn't avoid anything,
Right. Right.
So, anyway, what he wanted to talk about was that last term, you might remember that the delegation from Manchester, I think it might have been just the Republican delegation or the entire delegation, had a meeting with Gatsis and those guys. And they had jointly agreed that they would vote against the House redistricting plan. Because Manchester kind of lost out a little bit. I don't really know the details.
Yeah.
So when it came to the House, back to the House, especially I think the Republicans, I don't know about the Democrats, some of them changed their votes. I don't know which ones or whatever, but they had agreed at this meeting that they were going to support Gatsis and vote against the redistricting. They went to the House and they changed their vote. And so Steve Vaillancourt, Representative Vaillancourt, attacked them for it because they had promised they were going to vote against it, and then they go up to the House and change their vote, and he was really upset because he didn't agree. He did not agree with the redistricting plan.
Called them snakes and weasels.
Weasels and other bad words. And
On the show
they
that
didn't
he
call
used to
them
do.
vexatious though.
No.
No, he didn't go. He didn't go to that. That use the atomic bomb of.
I bet he wishes he did.
Right. So. So anyway, he started attacking people. So, and I don't know where this went in, what the time frame was on this, but Ross Terrio approached him and said, "I didn't agree to anything. I wasn't even there." So Ross Terrio was a state rep, and he didn't show up for that meeting. He had to work, or I think it was work. I think that's what he said to us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was never at the meeting and never agreed to anything. And so when he went up and voted for the redistricting plan, Vaillancourt was attacking him for being, a liar and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And Terrio told him, "No, I wasn't there. I didn't agree to anything. Don't paint me with that brush. I mean,
Right.
there are other people that's appropriate for, but not me."
Right.
And Vaillancourt doubled down.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right, and kept attacking him even more.
And this was on the air. This was on the show.
Right,
That
this was-
used to do, Steve's Liberty Express.
Yeah, it was on Steve's Liberty Express. He was attacking him.
It was over the course of 4 episodes.
And so, now, this almost rises to the point of abuse of your authority as a state representative, I think, or it's certainly questionable as far as its ethic. I was going to say ethnicity. I don't know how ethical it was, but Vaillancourt had a bill in my committee to, I forget how it was written, I forgot, but it was basically against lawyers filing suits against people.
Really?
Right, because his testimony was he was being sued and it was by a lawyer, and they just have all the time, and I don't have the resources to fight it and all this other stuff. So that was his bill. It died. Probably because of Article 14. You can't deny people whether they're lawyers or not. You still can't deny them their ability to use the law to remedy their problem. Whether you think it's a problem or not is irrelevant. And so anyway, this kept going on, and Ross Terrio, it turned out, was the one that was actually suing Vaillancourt for slander. Now, the problem is, as a politician, the threshold for slander is much higher. Okay? If I can't use Matt because he's too popular. He's a public figure. And I think politicians might be different than public figures. But Brandon, let's say Brandon in the control room helping us out there.
I'm listening.
Okay, somebody accuses Brandon of something. All right, I don't care. Stealing tomatoes from a tomato patch.
Yeah.
He can sue them for slander. Okay, unless that person has some evidence, a picture of him doing it or something, to prove that they had a reasonable understanding that he actually stole the tomatoes from the tomato patch.
Right.
Okay?
And even if he did it, he'd never...
He wouldn't admit it anyway. I know that guy. He's kind of,
He's like a ninja. No one would get him on video.
No,
or
there's
anything.
no way. There's no way. You just see, like, shadow moving and tomatoes missing.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
yeah. So anyway, now, in the case of me, if they accuse me of stealing tomatoes, first of all, I'm not the ninja, so they probably get the tape.
Right.
So maybe this doesn't work as an analogy.
They'd know it was you.
Yeah. It was either that or Ted Kennedy coming back to life, and so...
Right.
Right. So it would be hard. Anyway, so the burden of proof completely changes.
Yeah.
Because in his case, I have to prove that I had reasonable suspicion that he did it. I have, like, evidence. I saw footprints, his little ninja footprints with his little ninja slippers. Or... So...
Oh, we have a call.
That's probably a good time.
Probably someone who was once arrested for stealing tomatoes has a story to share.
Tomato stealer.
Oh, they're gone.
I didn't want to talk to him anyway. So, anyway, the threshold
You
completely...
make him sound like a doll with his little ninja feet, his little ninja shoes, his tiny little hands.
Oh, I think it's sweet.
It is cute. So anyway, the threshold is completely different. If you accuse me of stealing tomatoes, as a politician, I have to prove in court that you knew I didn't take the tomatoes, and that you're doing it to attack me. Okay, the threshold's completely different.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's there so that you have free press. Because if you look at free press is not so that we can publicize pornography and stuff like that. Free press is a check on government. And so that's why that threshold on a politician is much higher. So, anyway, let's take...
Sure, we'll grab this. Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Who's on the line?
Hey, Gary, is that when I caught you stealing the lasagna there out of Matt's knapsack? Is that going to be considered bad?
Did you steal my lasagna? Was that you?
Are you accusing me of something that I might not have done?
I saw you take that lasagna out of Matt's knapsack, and Matt was looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was.
You were. Were. Past tense, right? I love lasagna.
Great.
You know what?
Yeah.
Steve Vaillancourt, all you can get him. I think, I'm not going to say what I really personally feel about him, but nail Steve Vaillancourt right to the wall, you guys.
You mean that figuratively, right?
Well, whatever it takes.
Well, maybe he'll come down.
Thanks, Norm.
Thanks, Norm. Bye-bye.
So anyway, so there's the completely different threshold on if you attack a politician, and they did that deliberately, like I said, because you should be able to attack a politician, and he has to be able to defend himself or herself, and the burden of proof changes. So anyway, so Ross Terrio, after that incident with Vaillancourt, sued Vaillancourt. And it was resolved yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway,
they settled.
Ross sent us a message that he wanted us to read on air.
Let's see. All right, so
Does it say Gary's wicked awesome? And
it's implied.
it's
It's
inferred.
implied, yeah.
Inferred. Is this going to be vexatious?
It could be. I
could be.
I could read it like this.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Do that.
All right. Mr. Vaillancourt agrees to the terms of the settlement agreement in order to clear up misunderstandings. In the spring of 2012, Mr. Vaillancourt claimed that Mr. Terrio attended a meeting between Mayor Gatsis and the Manchester delegation.
Ooh.
Oh my. Mr. Vaillancourt also claimed that Mr. Terrio made an oath at the meeting.
An oath.
An oath. At other meetings of the Manchester...
Wait. What, was he an oath or made an oath?
He made an oath.
Because an oath, is it spelled differently?
Oh, you're thinking of oath.
Oath.
Yeah. No, he made an oath at the meeting.
So he created an oath.
Yes. He made one out of thin air.
Out of clay. He probably had clay.
Oh, like little clay oath?
Yeah, clay, like a little tiny one that attacks people or something like that.
Oh.
Or steals tomatoes.
Steals tomatoes.
Probably, yes.
Sorry.
That quite all right. At other meetings of the Manchester legislative delegation and at various other times to vote to sustain the governor's veto of a redistricting plan, HB 592. But subsequently...
For House Bill. HB.
Oh, House Bill.
House Bill 592.
Yes. But subsequently voted to override the same, breaking his pledge. Mr. Vaillancourt acknowledges his claims may have been incorrect.
May have been incorrect. Could have been, possibly.
And naughty.
And vexatious.
And vexatious.
And vexatious.
And the product of a misunderstanding of actual events.
A product. So, a product of events. The product of that events is you got like these little clay oaths.
Yes, that's the product.
Is it
yes.
oaf or oaf? How do you say a little like somebody's like a little gorilla kind of guy? Oaf.
Well, that would be an oaf.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or an
yeah.
ogre.
Yeah.
OAF?
Yeah.
Oh, so it doesn't spell that way?
No. That's the whole thing. That's the whole vexatious
I think I
statement.
need a shower now.
Yeah.
I need a cold shower.
Yeah.
That was... Well.
I don't know where the hell that's going. All the... I don't have to say that. So anyway, I don't think it didn't go to trial. They settled out of court, but
Yeah.
at least Ross's name is cleared. I hope this goes in the paper because if you're a voter in Manchester, you should know that Ross Terrio did not ever promise to vote a certain way and then went and voted another way. He was never at the meeting where everybody hung around with oaths. Oaths.
Nor is he a snake or a weasel, as Steve Vaillancourt said. Ross is fully human, as far as I can tell.
Well, I don't know. You're shapeshifters. If you go on YouTube and you look at the lizard shape-shifting people.
Yeah, reptilian
Reptilian
shapeshifters.
What did you say?
Shapeshifters?
Yes, them. You can see, it's hard to tell unless you have those super cameras where you can see like little slits, the eyes turn into slits and stuff. So we don't know.
Right.
We can't definitively say that Ross isn't. We know he's a drug dealer.
Right, yes.
Because he sells drugs at CMC.
Mm-hmm.
But that's inside, right? It's not like he does it legally. He doesn't.
Right,
do it,
he's not like out
outside,
on the corner.
Like you and I do on Saturday nights.
Right. Well, I do Fridays.
Fridays?
Yeah.
Oh, I get the Saturday shift. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But anyway, so that's pretty cool that was resolved, because I know that was really bugging Ross a lot.
Yeah.
And it should. I mean, it's one thing to be accused of something, but it's but it's completely different when it's completely unfounded and the person doing it knows better. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It would be one thing to make for instance. He would not have had a lawsuit against Vaillancourt if Vaillancourt had come out and accused him of that, because he could reasonably say, well, I thought he was there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that isn't slander because Ross is a politician. But once he was made aware of the truth and he kept attacking, that's when it became,
right.
He becomes culpable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that was pretty cool. That was some good news this week. What other good news? Oh, you been watching the Benghazi thing?
I saw a little bit today.
The number 2 guy in Benghazi was testifying today, and it was clear. He said there was no information coming from Benghazi to the White House that there was a protest. There was never any protest. He never told them there was a protest. The only information going to the White House and Hillary Clinton was that they were under attack by terrorists. Mm-hmm. Or are they called terrorists?
I don't know if they use that word. I don't remember. I don't remember.
But anyway, so in other words, the story that the White House came up with immediately after the Benghazi attack, that it had something to do with that stupid movie. Have you ever watched that movie?
No,
you should go online and watch it.
I haven't. I forgot about it, actually.
It's so profoundly stupid that the only Muslim that would be offended by it would be somebody who's just got a screw loose anyway and is going to be offended by everything because it's so dumb.
Right.
It's if somebody had made a movie about Christ like that, it would be just, jeez, get a life, right?
Really, yeah.
So it's wicked bad. It's insane. The other thing that they haven't discussed on the national media, which kind of bothers me actually a little bit more, is that that Hillary obviously lied. They knew it was a terrorist attack, and they claimed it was a protest that got out of hand, and that went on for like at least 5 days after the event. Mm-hmm. And people like Glenn Beck and other people in the media were already reporting that it was a terrorist attack by Al-Qaeda or an Al-Qaeda affiliate. And the head of Libya, the president of Libya, had said that it was a terrorist attack associated with Al-Qaeda. And the only people that were saying that it wasn't was NBC, ABC, CBS, and Hillary Clinton and Obama. And the administration's talking head that was going around to all the TV shows. But what really bothers me is Hillary said to one of the victims when they came back on the plane, one of the parents, I think, of the kid, one of the people or whoever, that they said, "Don't you worry, we're going to get the guy who made that movie." Huh. Okay, so they were going to enact revenge against the person that made the movie, even though she knew full well that had nothing to do with it by then. If she thought it at the beginning, that was almost reasonable, but within the next morning, she must have known exactly what happened, because there was no evidence or reports coming out of Benghazi claiming that it was a protest that got out of hand. Okay? So she said that many days after. She lied to that person, and what I want to know is what happened to the guy that made the movie, because they did attack him,
right?
And they put him in jail.
Yeah. I don't know. I literally forgot about that part of it.
And that's
I completely forgot about that
like
movie.
totally
Yeah.
trash this guy,
Yeah.
and obviously he's kind of a moron anyway. If you watch the video, you realize the guy's got a screw loose or two.
Yeah, he's no Martin Scorsese.
No. He's not going to win any prizes for what he did.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, they still went after him, and I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah.
And when you've got the full force of the federal government attacking you because of a movie you made, that's such a profound abuse of power.
Well, that and they turned the general population against him. You know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody was hating on the guy.
Oh, yeah. Lucky the guy didn't get killed.
Yeah.
I mean, if that guy got killed, it would have been the product of what the administration had done, not the stupid movie he made.
Right.
And it's just it's offensive what they did, you know, because I don't believe it was just to get reelected. I think there's something else much more nefarious going on, because that's a really stupid lie to come up with, that it was a protest, because they must have known that they were eventually going to find something out. But anyway, so that's what happened today, and that was really cool. I know we've had caller. What is it? Last week the guy called up and said, "I don't know what's going on about this Benghazi thing," or it was. Remember
Was that last? I do remember that.
Yeah,
Was that
because
last
we were
week?
talking about Kelly Ayotte. I went to Kelly Ayotte's. There was a protest supposed to be for Kelly Ayotte. Were you here last week?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you were live last week, but I don't know if you were here
I think I
last
was.
week.
Was I?
You were
Was I?
alive last week.
Last week?
Yeah. I
Well,
must have been.
you were alive last week, though. Let's start with there.
Yes.
Yes, definitively you can say yes. You can
Yes.
remember something specifically that you...
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yes.
So we start with there. You got to start with the basics, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
were you alive? Were you breathing?
I'm pretty sure I was. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let's presume that that's the case. Anyway, last week we part of the show I had gone. I think it was Tuesday to support Kelly Ayotte after she voted against the Senate bill to get to increase background checks.
Yeah.
We did that. We did that last week, right? Didn't we?
Who was here last
Yeah,
week?
because
Weren't you alone last week?
No, that was
no.
a couple weeks
that
ago.
was a couple weeks ago when I went to Ohio with my wife
Yeah.
and my grandson. No, who the heck did we have last week?
It's amazing how much of a blur it all becomes.
Oh yeah,
You didn't have John
I don't
Michael
remember what I
last week,
voted
did
on
you?
a few hours
No,
ago. So
I don't think so.
no, it wasn't John Heichel. It was Anne Marie Banfield.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Sorry if you're watching it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, because what a jerk I am. So anyway, so I was talking about Kelly Ayotte last week, because what happened was you'd love this video I took of this young girl. She's young, like about your age, really pretty, and she has a sign. She's holding up the sign. Some of these are blood spattered signs, but I don't think she did that. She wasn't quite that crude, and it said, "We will remember the victims. We will remember your vote." Okay. Now, if you were holding up a sign like that, is it you're not a 10-year-old girl anymore? Is it reasonable for me to assume you know what you're talking about? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got this video. I gotta bring the video in so
Yeah.
I can see it one time, because it's so bad. It's
Yeah.
such a horrible. I got from her chin to her chest. That was it. Because I'm like looking, I'm talking to her, and I'm looking at a little teeny screen on my camera,
Yeah.
and I can't see anything. All I'm getting is glare off of it.
Yeah.
So it's like the worst cotton picking. You know, if you know people want to hire me from, well, probably ABC or CBS would do that.
Maybe.
Hire me 'cause
Maybe,
it's
yeah.
that bad. So anyway, so I asked her. I said, if the background check bill had been in effect prior to Sandy Hook, what effect would that have had on the outcome of Sandy Hook? That's a reasonable question. She's holding up a sign.
Right.
It said, you know, we're going to remember your vote on the background check bill that was in the Senate. So what effect would it have? She's talking about victims, so she's talking about Sandy Hook specifically, and saying they're going to remember the vote. So if that had been in effect 2 years earlier, how would that have affected the kids at Sandy Hook? How do you think that would have affected kids at Sandy Hook?
I mean, it probably wouldn't have affected it.
None.
'cause,
Zero. Not. not at all. He stole the guns from his mom.
Right.
There's no background check.
Right.
Okay, so she doesn't know how to answer it. So she says, well, it's more of a general. I says, no. I interrupted her. I says, it's not a general anything. You have the sign. What effect would it have had if you're going to protest Kelly Ayotte because of her vote, and you're calling into, using the death of those little kids as your motivation? What will it have changed? And she said, well, it's more of a community thing. It's like, really? It was just so irrelevant. Her answers were completely irrelevant to the question. She had no clue.
Yeah.
Did you know that there actually is, they talk about background checks. See, the reason the background checks was a bad idea, literally, is because the federal government regulates federally licensed firearm dealers. Okay, so if Matt's a firearm dealer and he sells me a gun, he better have a record of it. He better have done a background check before he sold it. That's what the law is. You don't go into a gun show and buy a gun from a licensed dealer and not do a background check. The reason you can't hardly buy a gun in New Hampshire or have a hard time buying a gun in New Hampshire during the day of a gun show is because the lines are lit up at the state and the federal background check place.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many, they're just being bombarded. You have to wait like sometimes hours to get the background check done. Okay,
so the existing system works.
The system works, but the key thing is those are federally licensed dealers.
Yeah.
Okay. The Senate bill would have affected private sales of firearms.
Right.
Okay. So that means if I tried to hand my grandson gets 19 and he wants a hunting rifle, it would be illegal for me to give him a hunting rifle.
Right.
And how many grandfathers and fathers do that to their kids every year? Or like when my grandfather died, I still got a double-barrel 16 Savage that he should have left a lot more ammo with because it's getting harder to get ammo for it. That's pretty selfish of him, really.
I know, right?
Right?
He should have thought ahead.
He should have thought he didn't. Anyway, so when my grandfather died, I got that shotgun, even though I was like 12 at the time.
Yeah.
All right, but that's perfectly legal because that's not federally regulated. The federal government has nothing to do with me receiving a gun from my grandfather or my father or whatever else. It's none of their business.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is in New Hampshire, if you go to a yard sale and you see a handgun for sale, that's illegal.
Yeah.
There is no loophole as far as guns go in New Hampshire. You can't sell a stranger a handgun in New Hampshire. It's illegal. And so these protesters are up there, and one of the older guys who you would think has a clue what he's talking about, but I think they're mostly from Massachusetts. I don't know. I was told that. Oh, yeah, we get that a lot. We'll have people from Massachusetts come up and protest our senators. And I told him, I says, you realize that it's illegal for me to sell you a handgun already in New Hampshire. Really? I says, yeah, it's already against the law. There is no loophole, gun show loophole that they talk about at the federal level.
Right.
In New Hampshire, because it's already against the law. And his response, as a grown man, his response was, well, they don't enforce it. I don't know if they don't enforce it. I have no clue whether they enforce it. I know it's the law, but somehow, let's presume he's correct.
Yeah.
They have a law that they don't enforce, but writing another law that does exactly the same thing somehow is good?
Well, that's like what I think it was last week I was saying that, we're so over-legislated in this country, and we have laws on top of laws on top of laws, and before you pass new laws, you got to figure out, well, what about the existing laws? Why don't we just enforce those first? But we know why it happens, because, everyone wants to... Legislators, it's building a resume. You pass more laws and more laws because then it looks like you did something.
Yeah, well, it's not only that. And in this case, what it really is, there's a couple of variables that are going on with the Sandy Hook thing. First of all, after what was that? That kid that did all that knifing a few weeks ago, too.
I don't know his
You didn't
name.
see anybody in Washington, D.C. saying, oh, we got to get rid of frickin' knives, anything over a half-inch blade. Anyway, Yeah, it was at a college or something. Some kid attacked a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Cut up a lot of people. Nutcases are nutcases. You can pass all the laws in the world, but a nutcase is still going to do whatever they do. Their weapons might change by availability, but that's about it. I mean, there was, you know, what one of the worst school incidents was of all was in the early, I think it was the 20s. Janitor got canned, I think, from work. He went back, waited till all the kids were there, and blew up the school.
Wow.
Okay?
Like with actual explosives?
Yeah.
Like, no kidding.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, blew up the school. And then he had his car rigged, so when they came over to get him out of his car, that blew up.
Wow.
Okay?
Jeez.
So if somebody's that unstable, then it doesn't really matter what means by which they use to kill children. I mean, I'm not even going to explain some of the possibilities that could be done just
Right.
in case somebody's listening.
Right,
But there's
right.
myriad of ways that people who are unstable can go about doing what they want to get done
Right.
to achieve the notoriety that they're trying to achieve, because that's usually, I think, what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's why I don't even repeat that kid's name.
Right.
I'll talk about the victims of Sandy Hook, but I won't talk about that little dirtbag.
Yeah.
He's unstable little maggot.
Yeah, I don't say his name either, actually.
And so, what was I getting at? Do you remember what I was getting at? I'm sure I was getting at
Well, you're
something.
talking about the girl with the sign.
Yeah, talking about the
Yeah.
girl with the sign. Yeah, so the guy, I explained to him that there is no loophole as far as handguns. He says, oh, well, those people up there protesting Kelly Ayotte had no idea what they were talking about. None whatsoever. I mean, it'd be one thing if she had, voted to get rid of whatever gun he used or something like that, or voted against that. Then they would at least have some sort of standing to say we should make these guns illegal. At least that would be tangible.
I think there's a perception on the pro-gun control side that there is nothing currently. That either this legislation gets passed or there's just nothing. That there is no... I think they don't realize that there already are systems and laws in place. I think that's what a lot of it is. They just don't realize that some of this already exists.
Yeah, like you were saying about prosecuting the laws we already have. That's what Kelly Ayotte said.
Right.
And by the way, regardless of what you're seeing on TV, Kelly Ayotte, at least in Tilton, I didn't go to the other one, so I can't speak to that, had far more people there to support her than the few detractors.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it was like overwhelmingly support.
Can I say something nice about her really quick?
No.
Because we're actually almost out of time.
Oh, how'd that go?
But Kelly Ayotte is opposed to something that most people don't even realize is going on, because everyone's wrapped up in the gun thing, and of course the aftermath of Boston, the Marketplace Fairness Act,
Yes.
which is this awful internet taxing. Kelly Ayotte is opposed to that.
Yeah, but I shouldn't admit this on TV, but so is Shaheen.
Is she? Good for her. Good for her. Well, yeah, it's not really it's weird. It's not a partisan issue. When I first learned of it, I assumed it was the Democrats doing it, but it's actually bipartisan. Both the push and the opposition is bipartisan. So.
Yeah, and that will drive up the price. If you want to get stuff online, that means that whoever is the retailer selling it is going to be responsible in making sure they collect taxes in, say Virginia, and not only Virginia, some counties in certain states have different taxes, so they'll have to collect those.
Oh, it's a nightmare. It's a logistical nightmare if this happens.
Yep.
Just awful.
So congratulate both of them for doing that and encourage them. Call them up.
Absolutely.
One thing, Kelly, she actually mentioned that on her speech. Her speech was mostly about the economy, but that's not what made the papers. It was all about the gun thing.
Yeah.
And the thing about the gun thing is, when that Sandy Hook thing happened, okay, Feinstein and her merry men were waiting in the wings with a bill. That bill had nothing to do with Sandy Hook.
Right.
It had absolutely nothing to do with Sandy Hook. That was already in writing, ready to go. I shouldn't say in writing, but it was ready to go way ahead of time, and they kind of were waiting for an opportunity to throw it on, try to throw the Second Amendment under the bus is what that amounted to. They used those kids from Sandy Hook as pawns in their game. And one thing that really, really bothers me is you've got Gabby Gifford she was attacking Shaheen this weekend. And it was funny because she attacked Shaheen in the paper, and she said that, Kelly Ayotte should be listened to her constituents who overwhelmingly support background checks. She should have courage like I did. And when it came, and then she goes on in the article and says she had the courage to stand up against people when most of my constituents didn't want me voting for Obamacare, and I did it anyway. So on one hand, she thinks she's noble because she stood up against her constituents who didn't want Obamacare, whereas Kelly Ayotte's a sleazebag because she didn't stand up against her constituents and support the Constitution.
It is a non sequitur on her part, yeah.
Non sequitur.
Non
That's
sequitur.
not as good as vexatious, but that's pretty good.
I have to admit, it's not as good as vexatious.
Yeah, okay. As long as we get that straight
Vexatious.
up. Anyway, next week we're supposed to have Dave's Dragons. I don't know what the deal is with Dave and his dragons, but they still are nice people.
Yes, and hopefully the dragons didn't eat
And
them
hopefully,
or something.
you go check on Dave's Dragons, see if somebody ate. You might get free reptiles.
Ooh.
Right? If you
Yeah.
go in there and everybody's eating.
Right, yeah, then, grab whatever you want.
Grab whatever you want.
Grab and run.
I would think.
Yeah. I'm going to go down there and find out.
Let's go check it out.
Yeah. Could be
I
dangerous.
wonder what they taste like. Anyways, we'll see you next week.